What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, I wanted to showcase the 10 best exotic weapons in Destiny. I recently ranked the 10 best exotics in each slot, so primaries, specials, and heavies, but I wanted to see how these exotics stacked up when they all went against each other, to truly see which exotics are the best of the best that Destiny has to offer. So this is that list. Up first, at number 10 is Leviathan's Breath. It is funny that it is on this list because it was horrible at launch, but Bungie gave it like 3 separate buffs, including giving it Intrinsic Unstoppable, and now this thing hits like a truck. But the catalyst is what really sets it over the edge. It gave it a special form of Archer's Tempo, so now as long as you hit your crits, it's also a DPS monster. And it has really good ammo economy with the catalyst, giving it 15 arrows. And you pick up a lot of ammo with each brick, so it's very efficient. So it hits like a truck on single targets, has good DPS if you hit crits, and deep ammo reserves for high total damage. It's basically everything you want in a heavy weapon. At number 9, we have Osteostriga. There was a time not too long ago when this weapon probably would have topped this list, but its poison damage was nerfed, so it doesn't hit as hard as it used to. That being said, it is still an ad clear monster and does good damage over time on high health targets like bosses and champions, which comes in very handy. Damage over time is just such a strong effect in Destiny 2. We haven't had SMGs on the artifact in a while, so it hasn't seen as much play as it used to, but this thing still goes very hard. It just isn't the clear favorite anymore like it used to be. And it's also craftable, so you can customize it however you want. This thing is still a stud and one of the best primary weapons in the game. Next, we have Polaris Lance. It was neck and neck with Osteostriga and really just depends on the content that you're running. Polaris Lance is the best weapon in the game for causing ignitions, and it is shining especially bright this season thanks to the artifact mods and the synergy it has with Flint Striker. But even without the artifact mods, it can cause ignitions in just 2 perfect 5th shots if you're running Ember of Ashes, and that is extremely powerful in the right scenarios. Plus, the perfect 5th shot causes an explosion that staggers bosses, and this is extremely strong as well, as keeping a boss stun locked is very strong. It also does very good damage for a primary because of the ignitions it's proccing, even just on a single target. But if you proc the ignition on a high health target surrounded by trash ads, then the ad clear is just insane, especially on a solar subclass if you're spec'd into ignitions. So this weapon has a lot of versatility, and ignitions can stun unstoppables as well, and you can get radiant pretty easily on solar, so you can often have one weapon capable of stunning 2 champion types all rolled into one, with incredible ad clear and great single target damage for a primary. So maybe you could argue that this weapon deserves an even higher placement, but its one downfall is it really shines only in certain scenarios rather than all facets of the game. The ignition procs are overkill in lower end content, and in encounters where you can't keep your distance from enemies, it will struggle due to its low fire rate and high zoom. So that is what takes it down a notch, but it's great in the right situations. Coming in at number 7 is Izanagi's Burden. This thing absolutely slaps. I have loved it since the day it came into the game. The high damage single shot from Honed Edge x4 is just super satisfying to use. It can delete champions in one shot in a lot of content. And it's also very good as part of a high-end DPS swap rotation. You shoot Izanagi's, unload your rockets, let them auto-reload, and shoot Izanagi's again. There's not much more to it. Being able to dispatch an enemy from basically any distance with one shot is an extremely valuable thing in PvE. It has a burst of 4th Horseman with the benefit of not having to get up close. There really isn't much more to it. High damage number equals good. It's a beast and it's well deserving of a spot on this list. At number 6, we have another special weapon in the Witherhoard, and this one is one of my all-time favorites. From the day it came out, it's just been a monster. Damage over time in Destiny 2 is just such a strong effect, and Witherhoard does it better than most. You can lay down a Witherhoard to spawn kill enemies, and I talked about how great spawn trapping is in my How to Not Die in Destiny video. So it's got pretty nice ad clear, but you can also stick a single enemy with it and then just hide behind cover, which makes it very safe to use. And it has autoloading holster, which was one of my favorite perks in the game because I hate reloading. So you simply shoot a shot, then start dealing damage with your other weapons. All the while, it's just ticking away and hurting some enemy. And like Izanagi's Burden, it too can be part of powerful DPS swap rotations. It got a nerf to its damage over time quite a while ago, and yet it is still a top tier pick for a special weapon. And in my opinion, it's the best special weapon in Destiny. Number 5 for me is Gjallarhorn. You could argue that it could be higher or it could be lower, cause it really just depends on the content. It's super good in a team setting. On its own, it's still decent, but I would rather have some other weapons on this list than something like a GM. But in the right setting, Gali is a beast. It provides your team Wolfpack rounds, which improves the damage of their rockets immensely. This is most powerful in a raid setting where you can have 6 people. But even in something like a GM, speedrunners will run this in a Cenotaph Warlock to just obliterate everything. It has tracking built in, and the Wolfpack rounds give it great ad clear. And then your teammates can all have Wolfpack rounds as well and fire off their rockets, and basically everything just gets deleted. It's a must run in any raid boss encounter for DPS. It is that good and that important. So again, for what it does, it's simply incredible, and well deserving of being the first weapon in the top 5. At number 4, we have another one of my personal favorites, the Lament. I just love this weapon, and I love any chance to use it. I used it to solo flawless the Duality Dungeon. I use it in Gambit all the time. It's great for speedrunning solo lost sectors with. It was meta on Aatrax until Parasite came along. It has intrinsic anti-barrier, making it great in GMs if you know how to play aggressively with a sword. And being a sword, it has really good ammo economy. It has a bit of a skill gap to maximize it for boss DPS, and it even heals you as you deal damage with it. Its one downside is it does have kind of crappy hit detection, so if they could get that worked out, that would be great. But our team used a bunch of Laments to take down Crota on contest mode, and it worked beautifully. It's just a wonderful weapon in so many aspects. I love it so much. At number 3, we have Wishender, a shockingly high placement for a weapon that was never used a little over a year ago. But what a glow up it had. Bungie buffed it and gave it anti-barrier. It can one-shot barrier champ shields and Grandmasters. Only Arbalest, which is a special weapon, can match that potency. This is very valuable because it allows you to stun in one shot, meaning you won't be exposed to taking damage from a barrier champ for very long. It triple penetrates targets, so it hits like a truck, being able to one-shot pretty much all red bar enemies and GMs, aside from like Cabal Gladiators. This is obviously very good. And it can do all this at extreme range. You can just sit back and plink away on every champion in red bar, far from any danger. And the triple penetration that it has means it hits very hard on champions too. It can chunk them down very well, meaning you can run whatever you want for a special and heavy, because you have a primary that can reliably deal with champs. Also, thanks to how super regen works in Destiny, you get a ton of super energy for every shot of Wishender that you land. Because you get super for each damage instance, and each bow basically hits for the equivalent of 3 bow shots, so it is great for super uptime as well. It's so good that before this season, with how easy it is to get Radiant, it was basically a no-brainer pick in any GM with barrier champions. Like, I do lots of solo GMs, and you can beat them with a variety of weapons, but you are willfully handicapping yourself if you don't run Wishender. And that means it's obviously very good. It's basically best in slot, and everything else is just simply not quite as good. Now, here's where it gets tough. I think both of these next 2 weapons are simply amazing, so choosing a winner really depends on what type of content you're running and what build you're running, because both can really shine spectacularly when you lean into their strengths. It's truly a tough call. So at number 2, I have to go with Quicksilver Storm. This weapon is extremely versatile and doesn't have many weaknesses other than range fall off. It's a jack of all trades type weapon, so the regular fire mode can mow down enemies and we get 50 shots in the mag, and every nanotech rocket that we land we get a grenade launcher shot, and these GL shots do a lot of damage. The alternate fire mode is good on everything. I don't think the grenade launcher mode used to do AoE damage, but now it does, and it wrecks. Like, it hits very hard. But what sets it apart from other weapons similar to it is its uptime. Vex Mythoclast needs some kills to build up its linear fusion shot, Revision Zero takes a while to get its full stacks, but Quicksilver Storm can build up 3 GL shots in just 1 mag dump. And then you can shoot your GL shots and take out a bunch of high health targets with ease. And you can also do a quick reload to use this for good DPS as well. Picture something like the Birthplace of the Vile boss room. You can lay a magazine into the boss and then have 3 GL shots, and you can just do this over and over. So you basically have unlimited heavy ammo to dump on the boss. That way you can use your actual heavy or special on things like the ads. This versatility is huge, and it really opens up your loadout to run whatever you like, because Quicksilver can just do so much on its own. Again, the fact that it requires no kills and no crits to activate is just very good for ease of use. You just have to land a bunch of shots. This weapon is incredible, and with the catalyst, grenade launcher final blows will make it tangle, so it also has good synergy with Strand. This thing is basically the perfect exotic primary. Good ad clear, good single target damage, subclass synergy. Its one minor downfall is you can't sit back with it and plink ads like Polaris Lance or Wish Ender, but in most scenarios, you don't need to do that. You can play aggressively, and this weapon actually rewards you for doing so. It's just a beast. I hope it stays in its current form because, yes, it's very powerful, but it's also extremely fun to use. And that brings us to the number 1 spot, which is Dragon's Breath. The thing that sets this weapon apart from Quicksilver Storm is its damage over time that it does. I've spoken at length in the past about how strong damage over time is, allowing you to spawn kill enemies or shoot a shot off to damage one group of enemies while you deal with another. It's incredible, and if you watch high-end players solo GMs with this weapon, they use it to its max potential. It also has extremely strong subclass synergy with Solar, which cranks it up to 11, and the fact that it can cause ignitions just makes it that much better. You can fire it into a group of ads and it will just melt them all and cause ignitions and clear out the area. But shoot it on a champ and it will deal a ton of damage, and you can be ready with an anti-champion weapon to stun it. Say, in the case of a barrier champ, you stick it with a rocket, then pop the shield as soon as it pops up, and the rocket will continue to do damage. This thing is just so good in so many ways. It's got great total damage, so it's really good for long boss phases, especially solo. And that is one thing I should mention. Thanks to how Scorch and Ignition damage works, only one person gets the damage when you apply these effects. So in a team, the damage of this weapon goes down the more that there are, but it's still super strong. Like I said, I can't say enough good about the weapon. I guess the one knock on it versus Quicksilver Storm is that Quicksilver has unlimited ammo, where this one becomes useless when you run out because it's a heavy. But with its utility, it is still well worth running. It's such a solid weapon. So for a quick recap, we had Leviathan's Breath at number 10, Osteostriga at number 9, Polaris Lance at number 8, Izanagi's Burden at number 7, Witherhoard at number 6, Galahorn at number 5, the Lament at number 4, Wish Ender at number 3, Quicksilver Storm at number 2, and Dragon's Breath at number 1. Let me know down below what you think of the list. I think I did a decent job capturing why these exotics are so good in Destiny 2, but yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm really curious what weapons you would have put on the list. Leave your own personal top 10 in the comments. And if you're still watching, then thanks so much for watching to the end. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Once again, thanks for watching and take care.